Good Tuesday afternoon, guys. Excuse me, Tuesday morning, and welcome to Real Talk. We are live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network, presented by, yes, Realty Partners, and yes, Team Realtors. My friend Keith Smith, fresh off a 10-hour and change car ride down the eastern seaboard. But you know what? He's looking sharp today. Judah Wickow, the director. Let's go to the studio camera first, my friend, and welcome the distinguished gentleman to the show. You know, I think everyone can relate about the trip from Central Virginia somewhere up and down the seaboard, and it can go like...
We're talking northbound.
Northbound.
Southbound, I've very rarely had a problem.
Southbound's much easier.
Yeah, much easier.
Much easier. And it's a more pleasant ride for some reason.
You think?
It's less traffic congested.
It's cheaper, too.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. What do you ever add up the tolls?
I do. Because I keep the receipts because this was a business trip.
So was it a little over $50, between 50 and 60 in tolls?
No, more than that, because you don't go over the GWB, or do you?
I don't.
Yeah.
What's that, 18, right?
George Washington Bridge, no, it's 13.
13.
It's 18 to get up to Turnpike.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's just those two. Jersey Turnpike is 18 and GWB is 13. They're nice though. They only charge you one way on the George Washington Bridge.
So what was the grand total in tolls?
Close to $75.
So $75 in tolls. It's one tank of gas, right? Round trip.
No.
Or excuse me, it'll be like 1.5 tanks of gas round trip, depending on your car.
No. Well, 1 and 3. Great question, because we were actually talking about that.
Were you in the Subaru?
Yeah, we're in the Subaru.
Okay.
So it was about 3/4 of a tank going up, 3/4 of a tank coming down.
Okay, so you're at 1.5. That's similar to what?
1.5.
So you're, how much was the tolls?
$75.
75, and then what? 75 in gas?
Yep. But if you must know, part of my stopping and scouting out was to get my eyeball on the EV chargers.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, no, I'm committed to doing that.
So you're going to trade in the truck? You're going to keep the truck?
Yep.
And then get a Tesla?
No.
A Volt?
Nope.
Okay.
Got my eye on that. You're not going to... Mrs. Smith watching? No, she's teaching a class. I know she's not watching.
Okay.
I like that new Hummer.
Oh, yeah. Very nice.
I think in the next... Give them 1 or 2 years to work out the kinks. I might jump on that. But I don't know. I was... when I was up there, a buddy of Yaz's had one of these new Mustang E. Actually, it's like weird that it's a Mustang.
Right? Because it's almost an oxymoron, electric vehicle Mustang, but they handle well and they got some pickup.
The sport model was 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds.
Right? So you Mustang for Keith?
No, Mrs. Smith is a Mustang lady.
Okay.
She's going to do that. I don't
She's
know.
got a Subaru now.
So I was scaling it out. You know, we off air or pre-show, we're talking about, you know, at my age, I take excessive breaks, you know, little potty breaks every once in a while. But I was eyeballing them. So each one of the places I stop have the EV chargers at them, and they'll do like in 10 minutes, which is about 15 minutes, how long it takes to go do what you have to do. You can charge 100 miles.
There you go.
Go take a pause for the cause, put 100 miles in the car and go.
My wife calls me crazy. I've made the trip, and this is when I'm going solo. Like, she'll go up with Trey beforehand, spend some extra time with the in-laws, and then I'll catch up because I'm working. She calls me crazy. I've gone from Charlottesville to Southampton, Long Island without stopping.
Yeah, it's because you're young.
On 1 tank of gas without stopping the car.
Yeah, no, it's good.
And I did it in 7 hours and 52 minutes.
Good for you, buddy.
But that was, I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
No, and what time did you leave, though?
Oh, I left early. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. You know, somebody was talking about traffic and so forth and so on. When you're up there, what's the first subject you always talk about?
That's traffic.
What's the traffic like?
Yeah.
When are you going to leave?
Yeah.
How are you going to beat the traffic? You know, it's just crazy. But man, you know, we've left at all different times, and you know, you can never.
You can't predict an accident.
You can't predict an accident.
Yeah.
But you know, I actually scooted around Quantico and came down 1 because Quantico was all lanes shut down for like 10 miles back up. So I got off at Quantico and zipped all the way around and came back around 3. And
are you using Waze?
I like This is a real estate show, right?
Yeah,
Just check.
yeah.
I use my Google Maps.
Okay, and it gives you the traffic tips?
Yeah,
like
Waze.
congestion
It
tips?
does, yeah. It gives you suggestions. I like it, but we also do. We'll bounce back between Waze and, okay, what is Waze saying? What is Google saying? And then the car has its own thing, and it's telling you one thing. And when they're all kind of saying the same thing, that's when we go.
I'm a huge fan of Waze. So, well, we'll talk shop here. We'll talk real estate. Welcome Ray Cadell to the broadcast.
Hey, Ray.
Dan Pettit, hello. Andre Xavier, hello. Give the show a like and a share. If you want us to cover some topics, just put it in the feed. We're happy to adjust to your perspective, as we always do. So, my friend, where do you want to begin today?
So, Fair Housing Month, right? This April is Fair Housing Month. I sent a proclamation out to all the elected officials, asking them to support it. I'm happy to report, got a text from Chip on the way in that it's going to be on the Charlottesville agenda for the 20th.
That's great.
And I think it's important. I think it's important for us who have these in front of us and those in front of us to kind of get out there and do it. So I sent it out to all my fellow compatriots on these different boards and jurisdictions. I said, here's your opportunity, to do the right thing and stand up for something. And so far, Charlottesville's on board, so I'm excited about it. And we'll see.
Tell us what fair housing means. And J-Dubs, if you could, let's get the interview on the big screen here so we can see the distinguished gentleman in 63 inches here.
Except for his socks.
Yeah. Right now we got your socks on there, and I'd rather see your sharp dressed attire on the program. Fair housing. What exactly is fair housing?
Well, it's literally what it means. It's fair housing. So you can't discriminate against somebody because of their race, color, religion, sex, familiar status, family status, national origin, disability. Actually, in Virginia, that's the federal. In Virginia, it's sexual orientation is also a protected class. But what it is we talk about this on the show all the time, and all this language, just
it's the golden rule.
Just treat people like you want to be treated.
Right.
But it's interesting because I took it's called Fairhaven. NAR has put it on, National Association of Realtors put it on. It's a simulator, right? And it's pretty interesting. It's an AI thing, and you take it and it asks you questions, and it's intently designed to bring out your unbiased, right, your subconscious prejudice, to be frank with you.
Sure.
Right, and one that one just doesn't think of, and it was really cool. And I took it. It takes about an hour and a half to do it, and I took it last night, and I did well. I think I did well. I passed. Yay!
Yes.
Yeah, I passed. But it's something that we've been trying to do here on the show. And in the month of April, last Friday, we're talking about these invisible walls.
Oh, great
right?
show.
And this coming
It's blowing
Friday,
up on LinkedIn.
it is really cool.
Yeah. Bob.
Yep.
Has shared it far and wide. In fact, I'm going to go to his page. You're going to appreciate this. Bob Pinio,
Yeah, Bob.
the architect. Bob had not only shared the show, not only shared the podcast link, but he left this. Thank you to Jerry and Keith for this opportunity. I love the format of this show. I started getting into a groove after a couple minutes, and that is thanks to the way Jerry and Keith navigate the subject matter. I would encourage any of our fellow community design members to get on this show and talk about how we can untangle and advance the issues in the built environment in our communities. And dude, it is viral now on LinkedIn. Bob sharing it, sharing the link. I mean, talking missing middle. You can tell he's passionate about it.
Well, he was, and that's the reason I wanted to bring him on. And Richard was a knockout too, without a doubt. But that's to go back to this fair housing, right? And these invisible walls that keep certain individuals out that shouldn't be kept out. And we as real estate agents, let me see if I can do this. Realtors.
There you go.
And real estate professionals, we're on the forefront of this.
Sure.
And it's super. I'm super passionate about it. It's super important to me in my life, in my wife's life, and our business lives, to go ahead and make sure that we're fair and equitable to everybody. And it's just amazing when any real estate, only realtors can take this Fairhaven. I recommend them to do it if they haven't done it. It makes you think, and it makes you adjust a little bit. Okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have said that in that circumstances. It's really a good thing. And I tend to have a slip of the tongue from time to time. So it was a real good recentering for me. And actually, I'm going to take it again tonight, because every time you take it, it learns from you, and it throws different questions at you. So I'm going to continually take it. Hopefully, I can be a better person and a better human and do better at it.
Ray Cadell, elderliness is not a protected class under federal fair housing laws. However,
it is.
Virginia fair housing laws extends protection to those aged 55 and up. It is unlawful to refuse to sell, rent, or negotiate housing based on elderliness.
That's correct. Thank you.
Well played, Ray Cadell.
Thank you for keeping me straight, Ray. Absolutely. So Virginia's has a little bit more than the federal side on that end of it. But yeah, I'm trying to, and we can post in the feed the proclamation.
Sure.
I gave it to Judah in a PDF format. But I think this is good that the jurisdictions recognize this. We'll see how it goes.
Fantastic.
I got one of 6, so we'll see how it goes.
So you're going to do it again tonight?
No. So I've sent this out to every one of the 6 jurisdictions, and we'll see how it goes.
1 of 6, City of Charlottesville.
City.
I would think the others will pick it up as well, especially a time now, coming out of COVID.
So I was doing a little competition.
Please.
Between some of the board of supervisors that I know. So, don't be, who's going to be first to adopt it? And I think our friend Jesse Rutherford has kind of stepped up to the plate. He's a bit of a competitive guy.
He is. Jesse, if you're watching, I'm gonna take you up on that beverage at Blue Mountain very soon. I promise you that. We love Jesse Rutherford at this network. My friend, we are in April. We're in the second quarter. Inventory is still...
It's a little bit creeping up.
Okay, tell me about that.
Yeah, but, it's still anemic. I track, we have a thing on Paragon called a hot sheet. And what you do is you take a look at it. It's just a quick snapshot of what's new, what's pending, what's sold, so forth and so on. And you're starting to see new active units come in double digits, right? 10, 12, 15 a day, whereas this time last year or in the 6 months ago, it was in the single digits. So it's starting to creep up a little bit. You're also seeing, I looked at it a couple of days ago, the same number of units that became new went into pending. So we're kind of canceling everything out. But it is starting to creep up. I haven't prepared any numbers because we were on the road until late last night. But it's starting to creep up a little bit. We're starting to see some more listings hit on our side. So I think we're getting there a little bit.
That's good. How about the lake?
Yeah, I think the lake is. I saw a post yesterday. I didn't get a chance to look at it in great detail, but I think we're like below 10 actives. It's insanely low.
Below 10 actives
yeah,
in a 4,300 rooftop community?
If Ray's in front of the...
How many Ray we got?
In front of the computer, he could kind of pull it up what's active right now. Not coming soon, just straight up active.
Dan Pettit wants to know what price range, Keith?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to double check it, but price range in what? In the lake or in overall?
Yeah, I think he's talking overall.
Yeah, I haven't. It was just a quick eyeball before I ran out the door this morning, real quick on that stuff.
You have a number of colleagues from the newly minted, is it Howard Hanna?
Howard Hanna, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Watching the program. Mm-hmm. Hello and welcome to the broadcast.
Well, I think, and I'd love to get them on to tell their story, but it's Roy Wheeler still, I believe.
I think it's Roy Wheeler, Howard Hanna.
That's right, correct. So
yeah,
I think
it's like
it's
co-branding transition, and that eventually Roy Wheeler will be, you would think, phased out.
Yeah, I don't know that. I'd love to bring them on to tell their story. So any opportunity.
Similar to what we saw with like BB&T and SunTrust,
Sure.
They're doing both signages there, and eventually it'll be like a truist. Combination.
Sure.
So when you do a merger, you try to maintain the identities of both to preserve the trust that you have
Sure.
with each brand.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
I
I don't know.
that's what they're doing.
Of course, we're just speculating because we don't know the particulars.
Yeah.
The
That
particulars
just makes
of
common sense.
correct.
So anywhere, Pettit says anywhere. It says anywhere from a price range. Ray, if you're in front of, is it Paragon?
Yeah, Paragon.
If you're in front of Paragon, we'd love to. And you, Dan, come on, Mustache Dan Pettit, you got the access to the.
He's got a tennis racket in his hand. He can't do this.
You got the access to
can't
Paragon,
do this
Dan.
and do that at the same time. Yeah, so I did want to kind of tackle some myth busters. It was kind of something that I came up with at the last minute on talking about. There's certain myths out there, and let's see if we can throw these mythbuster concepts out there and get a little bit of debate, two-way debate going, or three-way debate going on with the feed and that. So I've given some slides to Judah, and he'll buzz through them here on it. But basically, I want to focus on the 5 common misconceptions.
Okay.
And myth number 1 is, it's better to get pre-approved after you find the perfect home. And that is false. And so let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
So there's a pre-qualification and pre-approval. 2 very different things.
Okay.
Right? Most people don't know the difference.
Sure.
You and I know the difference,
Sure.
but most people don't.
Dan says I'm shaving and listening to you guys. He's shaving in the bathroom.
Hold it. He's got a racket. How does that work? Because the
I
racket
think
never.
He's in the bathroom shaving.
Yeah, but
and
the
does
racket
not have
never.
the tennis racket.
That racket never comes out
I
of his
thought
hand.
you would go more down the road. Dan Pettit, you're in the bathroom? That's what I thought you were going to go to.
No, that doesn't surprise me.
No, I mean, I appreciate that. The man's listening to the show. Dan, we love you on this program.
He's shaving. A little late for shaving there, Dan. So
Get pre-approved and pre-qualified immediately. First thing, I would think if you, and you're in your shoes, when you're meeting with the client, you would love to see these letters upon initial meeting.
well, it's very interesting because one of the scenarios in this Fairhaven was about this, and about should you or should you not take a client out if they've forgotten to bring their pre-approval letter with them.
I have clients that do not do that.
Excuse me?
I have clients that do not do that.
Yeah.
That do not take the client out.
Yeah, and it was an interesting thing, and I won't tell you the results of it because that kind of takes away from somebody who wishes to take it. But the path was super interesting because they ask you questions, right? Well, why did you make this decision, right? And then you have like 3 choices, and if you pull that, then it starts going down different roads. It turned out to be very eye-opening for me on that. We will, if you tell me you have a pre-qualification.
You'll take it at the word?
At the word, yeah.
For the first meeting.
For the first meeting.
How about the second meeting?
No.
Right.
What we would do is we would very, very politely ask who your loan officer is.
Right.
And then, is it okay if we can call your loan officer just to get that? Because what we don't want to do is disappoint you.
Right.
Right. But more importantly, you're asking me what can I do to be on the top of the pile of this multi-offer world that we're in right now. And this is really the first, because look, cash is king. You're not going to beat that
cash,
out.
sure.
But there's a difference to delineate between pre-approval, right, and pre-qualification. A pre-qualification is really just let's call it a credit check.
Sure.
Right? A pre-approval is you've sat down with somebody like Scott Morris, right, and his team, and you've provided a lot of information, your employment history and so forth and so on. And so a pre-approval basically is
Means you're ready to go.
You're ready to go.
Yeah.
All you're waiting on is a contract, appraisals.
For the right house.
Exactly
Yeah.
right. Right house. Thank you very much. Right house, contracts, appraisal, and move on.
I mean, I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, okay?
But they're looked at very hard in the offer world.
Why would anyone, agents, buyers, sellers, everyone on that supply chain, why would they not insist on the pre-qual upon initial meeting?
No, pre-approval.
Or, excuse me, I misspoke. The pre-approval
No.
on the initial meeting.
Well, it's because you're 100% right.
It's time consuming.
Well, we coach our clients through this process, and we get them with trusted advisors to go ahead and coach them through this, and when you're taking a look at a pre-approval letter and I'm helping you win a bid on Judah's house, to be frank with you, if you show up with a online lender instead of having somebody like Scott Morris's or some of the local trusted advisors in the spaces with their signature on it, it's not going to weigh the same way. It's the weight is just not. You're just not going to float to the top. It's just the reality of today. But then because you're not disappointed, so you can act quickly and move quickly on it. So these series of 5 things are these questions that have been asked to us in the last couple of weeks. So this is kind of why I wanted to take this on today a little bit. The second thing is, and it's still happening, always start with your lowest offer when buying a home. When we're representing buyers, they still want to make what we would call a below listing price offer. And that's just not where the world is today. So you need to go in there with your best possible offer. There's tools called escalation clauses, and we can talk a little bit about that later. But, it's a common misconception. People still think, believe it or not, that, let's make a lower offer. Now, it depends on the property and where it's located and how many days it's been on the market. There's so many different criteria to it. But if we're going after something that is pretty hot, right, you want to kind of go in there with your best price. It's amazing to us that we still hear that question of we'd like to go below offer. I don't get it.
Well, it's interesting because it's the reinforced misconception that you need 20% down to buy a home. The reinforced misconception that you can wheel and deal when purchasing a property no matter what the marketplace dynamics are.
In today's environment.
Right. And you know what? I got, last summer, bought a Ford Explorer, right? And I like to wheel and deal.
You think?
Okay, I like to wheel and deal. Shopped it around. And you know what the guy said to me at the local dealerships? They're like, with the advent of CarMax and Carvana, basically these online businesses that sell cars online, the local car dealer has such little room to negotiate now because for them to compete with these business models that have no overhead, they're pretty much coming in at bottom line pricing in a lot of circumstances with their vehicles. Now, obviously, a used car is different than a new car. And buying something from Carvana may be different than buying at the local dealership. But the times and days of wheeling and dealing for making big time purchases, they may be gone.
As far as cars go.
Right, as far as cars go.
It's funny, I only have 5, but you added a 6th one to this list.
What's that?
Our chemistry, 20%.
20%.
That's a myth, right? Yeah. That is a myth out there that you must bring 20% to the table. Now, and what kind of concocted some of this was last Tuesday, there were some folks on the feed saying, I'm losing, how can I win?
Oh, yeah.
So this is kind of what formulated me to kind of discuss this today a little bit on it. But you're 100% right. This is a myth, this 20% down payment. Now, where the difference is if you're capable of doing more than 5% or 3%, when you're one of 12 offers on the table, it could be weighted better. We kicked off talking about fair housing. At the end of the day, the only thing a seller should be considering is the financial picture and the terms of the contract. That's it, period.
Right.
End of story. Well, sometimes that doesn't happen.
How so?
Well, sometimes people cross this line, right? And us as real estate agents, we have to reel them back in. And that's a hard conversation to have and say, no. Because this buyer's has a specific last name that's maybe not the same as your last name, that is not, we're not going to go there. We're legally not going to go there. This conversation is going to stop if that's where we're going. We need to look at it. So the way we do it is we generate a spreadsheet on these 4 or 5 items that really are what the basis of an offer should be, the basic terms, the terms of it on that end of it. But one of the terms is the financing terms, right? And if we're competing against a cash offer, like I said earlier, it's really kind of hard to beat that, unless it's substantially below market list price, and that's a different issue. But at the reality of it is if you're able to put a little bit more money down, it makes your offer a little stronger. Does that make sense?
Sure. Jamie Turner watching the program. Jamie, you ask great questions on the show frequently. Hey guys, hope you all are doing well.
Thank you.
So would you say days on market is the main driver for being able to go in below asking price? Good question, Jamie. I have some perspective on that, but I'd love to hear from the expert first.
It's one indicator.
What are your indicators?
That's the point. Each property is different.
He's basically asking this question. What are your metrics that either encourage or discourage a buyer to come in from a negotiation standpoint when purchasing a piece of property?
So I've been talking about this forever. It's 5 things. Location. So the location makes the difference, right? A difference. The price, which we're talking about. Features, conditions. So you have to, and then the last thing is the timing, which is the new condition. So it's hard to say days on market.
For me, I think the number one indicator is inventory on market before days on market. If we have very, very little inventory, we're going to know that the buyer has very little leverage to negotiate. I think my second indicator for negotiation is DOM. My third indicator for negotiation is the quality of the piece of property, whether it's in good condition or not. And then my fourth indicator is I go to the courthouse, I do a little research on the loan, where they stand, if they're underwater. I mean, if this person is selling their piece of property and it's a year or 14 months or 2 years after they bought it, you got some concerns because you have tremendous capital gains exposure if you sell your property within 2 years of purchasing it. So someone who's selling their property within 2 years of purchasing it clearly needs to get out of this property. That's how I look at it.
And it's the skill to navigate all those because depending on the property and depending on the client's needs, it kind of flows in and out. I'll leave specific properties out of it, but there was a condo I helped recently, a client by a client, was on the market for 1,500 days. 1,500 days. They tweaked the number a little bit, put a cash offer in. The day I put a cash offer in, 5 other offers showed up.
They tweaked the number? You're saying they cut the price?
They cut the price a little bit.
And then did they relist so the DOM dropped?
No. So my point is, sometimes karma kind of kicks into this thing a little bit, but though skill is super, super important, some of this is an art, right?
Oh, yeah.
And how you actually navigate this skill sets, and it's 30 years of doing this, that you kind of navigate it one way or the other. But it basically, my 5 things is the same as your 5 things. I just put them in different particular orders. We want to take a look at the location. When we take a look at the location, what's going on over there, what's selling, what's not selling. Is this overpriced? Is the features overpriced? If my client buys it and has to put $50,000 into it, are they overbuilding for the market? So there's multiple series go down there. To answer the question of DOM, I have to tell you, that's where my eyes go first.
You go DOM over inventory on market?
I look at DOM real quick.
Yeah?
I look at DOM real quick. Well, it's both. I look at that particular DOM, I look at that particular house and that particular market thing and find out what the rest of the DOMs were. So if they were, 4 or 5 or 10 times over what everything else is selling around there, something else is wrong. So then we start looking into it a little bit deeper. Okay, what else is wrong? Is it overpriced? Oh boy, it's overpriced. Does it have the wrong features in it, right? Does it not have it's got 5 bedrooms or 6 bedrooms and one half bath. I'm just picking some arbitrary things. But it's more of a art form than it is a science. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense. Multiple people asking about what I mentioned about capital gains and selling a home within 2 years or waiting the 2-year marker. Keith Smith, you want to go down that road?
Well, right now, capital gains is good. May not be.
Well, they're talking about you got to stay in a home 2 years, or you're going to have tremendous tax exposure.
Sure. Yeah, so capital gains, do we want to go down what capital gains is? Is that what we're talking about?
No, about needing to stay in a home 2 years and why.
Yeah, so it's a law. It's the tax regulation. You have to stay in 2 years and you have to go sell it. And then is that what we're talking about here, or not? Am I losing you here?
No. So basically, what it means is this: you need to live in your home for at least 2 years out of the last 5 years to qualify as a primary residence.
Okay.
The 2 years that you live in your home don't need to be consecutive.
Sure.
You also don't need to own your home for at least 5 years to claim an exemption from the capital gains tax. So basically, what it comes down to is this: if you buy a home and you sell this home within the first 2 years of owning the home, your tax exposure is much greater than if you wait the 2-year marker and then sell your home.
Not trying to follow the conversation.
Yeah.
Are we talking about
the capital gains threshold?
Got it, yeah. But I'll tell you, most people do not want to discuss this too much at the moment because everybody's projecting that's going to change. That's what they say anyway. But the reality of it is that's 100% right. So what you do is you've had X amount of dollars, and you need to go ahead and try to put that money into another piece of property.
Well, and that situation, you can do a 1031 exchange, a starker exchange.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and the 1031, 1031ing properties is a tremendous opportunity. You ever 1031?
I have, but I'm a little bit out of my depth on that because the only time I've ever done 1031s, I've been part of 1031s, is on a commercial environment. Very rare. I can't remember the last time I did one in a residential.
Residential would be much tougher. That would be investment residential for another residential investment.
Yeah, exactly right. So we're confusing a little bit.
They happen though.
They do happen, but a traditional. What I don't want to do is scare folks to think if they want to sell within a year that they're going to get zomped on their taxes. That's not the case.
Yeah, you don't want to do it within 2 years.
Well, no, that's not true. I've just helped a client do that within that. They didn't.
They lived in a primary. It was their primary
residence. Yeah, but they went
residence.
and bought a second primary, so it's a non-issue. That actually spent for more money than they bought the first one. Capital gains is a really slippery slope to go down, and it's generally only wrapped around the investment world, like commercial properties or investment properties. There's other realtors on that on.
Oh, there are.
That can
this is getting a lot of people talking.
That can talk about it. That's fine. I'm just out of my depth a little bit on it.
I know this topic well. Andre Xavier.
Do you know it from the residential side? Or
from both, because I almost starker exchanged my condo at the Villas at Southern Ridge.
Got it.
And I did do a starker exchange with one of my commercial properties. So my CPA, who is a phenomenal guy, Tucker Waldriff, really got me up to speed with this. Andre Xavier, I have the feeling that 1031s will go away sooner than later.
I don't
Andre,
disagree with that.
I'm worried about that as well, my friend. I'm worried about that as well.
The only reason I know that is I have a lot of my commercial clients that are now not buying anything or selling anything.
Why are they doing that?
Because they don't want to get hit with capital gains. Again, my dealing of capital gains is purely on the commercial side. I cannot remember the last time I did a 1031 exchange for a client on the residential. It's been
have
years.
Clients that have purchased a primary residence and sold within 2 years.
Just did one. Did one within a year.
They bought it.
Actually, a little over a year.
They bought it and sold it within 2 years of living there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And because they were able to capitalize on the sale. They got a substantial amount of money for the home. They were on the positive side, but they also upsold too. They went to a much more expensive home.
Okay. Wait till you see their tax return.
That I don't have to see.
Yeah, I know. Wait till you see that tax exposure.
We communicated with their CPA before we did this.
Okay.
They're in good shape.
Okay. The Starker and 1031s are popping right now in the feed here.
Sure, we can talk about it if you want.
Yeah. It's just one opportunity to minimize tax exposure, guys. That's the way to look at it.
Yeah. But look, I don't want to give out tax advice because I'm not a CPA.
Yeah.
I'm not a tax guy. So the bottom line is we can talk real estate end of the stuff. But if you need to reach out, just like we helped this other client, we brought in another team member, which was their CPA, and said, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what we're buying. Are we good? And the tax guy said, yep, you're good. So that's what our role is, right? To be the source of the source.
Sure.
And to put that together.
Justine Montgomery.
Hey, Justine.
Vermont?
Vermont, yeah.
She's watching in Vermont.
No snow. I talked to her this morning.
Cash offers can also be problematic. Don't assume that the deal will be smooth sailing if you're considering a cash offer. Let's go down that road.
You know, she's spot on, as usual. You know, so to facilitate a cash offer, if I'm putting a cash offer on your property, I have to within, and I can't remember the number of days, I think it's 7 days, I can't remember. I have to actually provide to you proof that I've got the funds. I have to verify the funds. So sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. You know, a very good realtor on the other side, if I'm making a cash offer to you, I'm already going to have a verification of
proof of funds, yeah.
Proof of funds in my cash thing. I think what Justine is probably saying is, you know, sometimes if you have a cash offer that's 10%, 20% below list price or whatever the percentage might be, maybe it might be better to look at a different offer, because some of these, like I saw the other day a transaction, 60%, 40% cash, considerably higher than another cash offer, and you might want to look at that a little harder.
So
because here's the reason why: the appraisal was negated from it, the need for an appraisal.
Right.
So it's not technically a cash deal, but it's awfully close, and they were able to get more money for the house.
So let's just say this. Let's use numbers that are easy to work. Okay. So let's take a house that's $200,000. Okay. In that particular circumstance, you had one buyer saying, we will offer you $200K cash. And then the other circumstance, you had a buyer saying, what?
$225.
$225. And of that $225, 40% of it was cash.
Correct.
And the rest was bank financing.
Correct.
You take the 40% cash and the rest bank financing all day, every day. Because there's going to be no issue with the appraisal whatsoever.
Well, because there isn't one.
Right. Because they're putting 40% down in cash.
Because we've communicated, you know, in this scenario, right? I'm going to communicate with you. I'm representing, let's say, the seller at this point. You're representing the buyer. I'm going to communicate with you and say,
that's a hell of a deal, hell of an offer.
No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to communicate with you to say, I need the verification from your purchaser's lender that they're going to waive the appraisal. And so they would formally do that, and you would get a letter from their lender saying,
get an extra $25,000.
Then that's pretty much a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I think, you know, look, at the end of the day, contracts are only good as the two people that enter into them. And maybe Justine is talking about something where, you know, the cash buyer, you know, maybe not be what it seems to be. So you have to do your homework, right? As a representing the seller, you have to do your homework and question it. And that's one of the things that kind of popped up in our questions of our myths in our different things. But one of myth number 3 is it's better to price your house high. And we talk about this all the time.
Do not do that.
Do not do that.
Do not do that.
Because what happens is it gets immediately discounted. So to go back to the days on market thing, right, we would have to then go look at, okay, is this house overpriced? Is that why it's so far over DOMs? So what I would do is I'd immediately look at the DOMs, and it would start triggering a bunch of other particular questions.
Okay. People want you to go down that road. This question just came in the feed. If you price your house high, doesn't that give you room for some negotiation?
I don't think in this market. I think what it does is it. So I'm representing Jerry. We're trying to go find a house, and we take a look at it, and just like a listing, we're gonna narrow it to 5 or 6 houses. I'm gonna do all my homework on those 5 or 6 houses, right, before we start going to look at them, before we start doing it. And I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna report in. It's okay. Look, I've done a homework on this particular house. It is overpriced, right, by whatever, $50,000 to pick a number on that kind of stuff. What ultimately is probably going to happen is we're probably not going to go look at that house, right? Right? I think that's probably what's going to happen here, because what we don't want to do is there's another house that is priced just right that we can make a play for, that if we're spending our time on something that's $50,000 over, I'm going to lose this opportunity. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to look at our 5 or 6 homes, and we're going to have to start picking which opportunity is the best that fits our needs. Obviously, it has to be the right house. The client has to like it, fit all its needs. But after that, we have to start narrowing down on which one we want to make a play for, because these things are going, literally, we just done one with 12 offers on it, right? So if I spend, because we're only going to be able to do one offer at a time, right? We're not going to make, to be clear here, we're not going to make 6 offers, because we'll never do that. And why would we never do that, Mr. Miller?
I mean,
Obvious.
It's pretty obvious why you would do that.
Well, we had a client ask us to do this the other day, and I needed to explain to them.
6 offers?
I said, "Are you prepared to buy all 6 houses?"
Yeah.
What do you mean? I said,
what happens if they say yes on all 6? You're screwed.
Yeah. So it was a first-time home buyer.
Okay.
We needed to educate them and walk them back. So my point is we're gonna make a play for the one that we think we have the best shot for. The one that's $50,000 over, we're not gonna make a play for that because it's wasting time. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense. This is coming in from multiple people. How about the thresholds on search with the MLS and keeping them below certain price points so you get more eyes on the property? That is something that legitimately happens. You know how many people go to the MLS and filter 400K and below, and if your home is at 425, you're going to lose so many eyeballs.
If your house is at $401, $1.
1 cent?
1 cent.
Yeah.
That goes back to, I'm assuming that we have some pretty outstanding realtors watching today.
They are, and their comments are. Yeah.
And my point is, you hire a trusted advisor, and I hire Jerry Miller to market and sell YRP.
Yeah.
And I listen to you.
You do, and it's working.
And it's working.
Yeah.
You hire a professional to come in and take a look at your home, and they tell you this is what the market value is. They are a professional. That's what the market. And it's a range, of course, and that's what the price is. You hire a Mazda mechanic to work on your Mazda engine. Right? He's a professional. And
maybe the best in the world.
Best in the world. Literally the best in the world.
Literally.
And you listen to that individual.
Dan, you're making some.
It's taken me a little bit of while. I had no. You've noticed I don't have a cup of coffee.
You had no coffee today.
I had no coffee.
I did notice, dude.
I had no coffee.
I noticed that. I did notice.
Yep.
Dan Pennant, I do think if the price. If you price a home at fair price and a fair market value, offers will come in. Then the escalation clause can be used by the buyer.
Very, very good. I didn't want to go there. Thank you for going there. Dan,
Mustache Dan Pennant.
Mustache man Dan Pennant. So that's the problem. If you overprice it right now, so if you go ahead and get this at the right market price, you will more than likely, again, it has to be the right location, right price, right features, right condition, right? It's got to meet all those 4 things. You will more than likely get more for the home than the list price.
We can make a legitimate argument, my friend. A legitimate argument that
I should have more coffee?
No, possible. A legitimate argument that maybe you come in 1, 2, or 3% below market with your starting list price.
That could be a strategy.
You want to go down that road?
Nope.
No, you don't want to go down that road?
Nope. But that could be a strategy.
Because we're seeing that strategy.
Look, the reality of it is market value is market value.
You're basically saying it's worth what someone's willing to pay for, and that's market value.
No, but when I do an assessment, or any of these awesome real estate agents do an assessment on it, it's a range, right? We're not going to say the house is a penny, right? To the penny, we give them within a narrow range of what it is, and then the client decides which one that they want to pick. So somewhere in the middle is kind of where the market is, where we think the market is. We go a little bit above, a little bit below, and the client gets to pick it. Is there a strategy out there that somebody can employ that you could lower it below what you think the market is and try to upsell it? I'm sure people do that. We don't. We say this is what the market value, and then let the market determine what the value is. And if we list a house for $200,000 and we get an offer in for $225,000, it might not be the best offer.
Right.
And it may not be the offer we want to take, right? Because of all the rest of the terms and conditions in it, right? And we take a look at it and say, look, I don't think it's going to appraise, right? Right? Then what happens at that point? We have to go back to the table with everybody,
right.
or the buyer gets to walk.
And then your listing starts getting a little long in the tooth.
Little
and
stale.
People start wondering what's going on.
So just hire a trusted advisor, price it to what the market is, and then let the market determine what it's willing to pay. But you have to listen to your trusted advisors, because we sometimes have to say, well, that little red shiny object up there is not attainable because it's not going to appraise, right? Let's take this one. We know it's going to close, right? Or more than likely it's going to close. And that's the rest of the terms is how is things stacked? Because at the end of the day, and this will come out probably wrong, but at the end of the day, the easy part is to get it under contract.
Right.
The hard part is to hand you a set of keys.
Of course.
That's the hard part.
Jennifer, you guys keep talking about homes appraising. We've lost 3 homes to people who are coming with $50,000 or more cash to closing. It doesn't even need to get to appraisal.
We were talking exactly that.
Yeah.
We were talking
literally, she put that in there.
Yeah, we
talk about that. Yeah.
We talked about that earlier. That's exactly right. So
I sense a little. We're empathetic to your plight, Jennifer.
Oh,
right?
Totally empathetic to it.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking about what you can do to win. That's in all intents and purposes, that's a cash deal.
Yeah.
If somebody's bringing, on a $200,000 purchase, $50,000 cash to the table, it's a cash deal. The path that the lender is going to take on that is extremely fast and short to it. More than likely it's not an appraisal.
And explain to them why the lender's going to go immediate to it. It's because of the immediate equity in the property.
Immediate equity in the property.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. At the end of the day, the bank they just
want to protect their investment.
All they care about is in this $200,000 scenario is their $150,000.
Right, and they're like, if the what hits the fan, these people can sell, and they got $50K there.
I can sell the house for $150,000 and I'm out.
Yeah.
Right, and they don't care about your $50,000.
Right.
$50,000.
Right.
Yeah,
it's tough, Keith.
Yeah, it's tough, and that's the young lady's name is Jennifer.
Jennifer.
That's why, and I'm sure that you're working with some pros and some trusted advisors.
We know one.
No. I'm not suggesting that at all.
I know.
But I would ask that question to whoever's helping you. How can we position ourselves in a better position? And the bottom line is patience is king at this point, right? And inventory is kind of streaking up a little bit on that end of it. But it's super frustrating. Yonna and I driving up had a first-time home buyer in tears, trying to walk her through this process. It's heart-wrenching that but we just keep on trying. You've got to keep on trying. What's the option? The option is to keep on paying rent, which is a great thing if that's where you are in your life. But if you want to move on to buy, you can't think of a better time to buy. It's just going to have to be a little patient to get there.
And it's interesting, the rental market, because they're not.
Oh, it's insane.
It's insane.
It's beyond insane. Well, we had an off-air conversation. I'm going to try to bring in some folks from the rental perspective, particularly.
Rents are upticking 5% every year around here.
Sure.
5%, Keith.
Yeah, rental is not. We're not in the rental market, so I only know it from the periphery. I only know it from what I sit on my regional housing partnership and the land trust on it, in conversations with Habitat and PH on how we can help that along.
I will say with mine, I have a 4% every year uptick, and the folks that looked at ours said, yours is only 4%?
That's because you're trying to do the right thing.
Well, I'm also trying to keep it full.
You're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
To do the right thing by them and do the right thing by you.
Some of them are upticking 6% and 7%.
Yeah.
Think about that.
And it's interesting. And then we talked about this on Friday about this ADU auxiliary dwelling unit. And the ability to do this missing middle as we can try to get some inventory up. But the rental side is no different than the sales side. It's an inventory problem. It's a supply problem. What can we do to get more supply out there?
And here's the crazy thing, my friend, is the University of Virginia is upticking its student body. So we're going to have more students enrolled at the University of Virginia. I couldn't give you the exact number, but a noticeable amount.
Yeah, because I thought they capped out at 26,000.
They're upticking across the board,
Wow.
and they're hiring more people, and we have more big companies coming to the area.
So I've got a meeting here while you're doing your debate, which congratulations for making that happen. That's great. Part of this UVA program I'm in that we're going to be talking a little bit about that. So I'll probably get more information.
Ray Cadell has got a comment for us. I would not refuse to show that intentionally underpriced listing, but I would counsel my clients that this is a seller potentially trying to take advantage of us and maybe not the best choice.
Yeah, I think my personal opinion is it's a tactic. You're trying to help your client get the best amount of money for it. I'm not so sure we would do that. And well, I would counsel my buyer client that this is, one, are you in love with this house? And if you are, then I'm telling you this is going to go way above this number. And you have to be prepared to go way above this number in that end of it. And we will take the direction from our client. But I think if somebody came in and asked us to do that intentionally, we'd struggle with that.
Brian Jettings says, is pricing a listing like that similar to good photography or good marketing?
No, yeah, this is a bit of a slippery slope, right?
Uh-huh.
To me, I think it's an ethical thing, and I really don't want to go down that particular road on it. But it's my personal opinion.
Sure.
Right? And this is how and how we function our business. I think you go down to your client and representing a seller, this is the market value, and then let the client decide what they want to put in on it and then move on. If they come in and say, well, I want the price at $20,000 below because I want it to go $20,000 above, I'm not so sure that's the right working relationship between us and that client.
There you go. I respect that. I very much. Ray says, I agree with Keith on this.
Yeah, I know he would. He's a classy guy.
Ray, I'm tagging you on this.
So, how are we good on time?
Good.
We're getting close
great.
there. There's one particular myth I want to get to. We might skip this thing. Renovating your house will definitely net you more money. That's not necessarily true. And
we had a good show on that.
We had a great show on that, and so we'll kind of skip.
Do you remember the renovation that created the most ROI for the house?
I do. It was a garage door.
It was the front door.
The front door.
The front door to the house. Garage door was 2.
That's exactly right. Look at you.
Dude, I absorbed everything. I've been doing this for 2 years, sitting across from you learning. Literally, for 2 years. Twice a week.
This is the first time I didn't have a cup of coffee in front of me.
Yeah.
Just saying. So, because I know you got a show coming up and I want to be respectful of your time and get ready for it. This is the one I really wanted to spend some time on. Is it safe to skip the home inspection if the house looks good?
Can I say the answer?
Yeah, I know.
Hell no. Is that not the answer?
But I have a solution to it.
Oh.
So it's something that we've tried, and it worked well. So we had, and this, was it Jennifer that was struggling on the money end of it? So this may be, look at the
Michael Guthrie's got a comment.
Oh, good.
Want to hear it?
I would love to hear Michael Guthrie.
He says, price the home competitively and let the market drive the end result.
That's exactly right, yeah. And we learned that from him. But the other path, I think, is kind of cross some ethical thing. I'm not really comfortable with it. So, home inspection, something that we did recently. What we did is we scheduled a 1-hour showing for a home and brought my go-to home inspector with us and did an eyeball of it. what I call in the industry, my line of work, an eyeball. So basically, a home inspection, for the most part, is just a visual inspection, right? But so what we did is while we were looking at the house from the client, because it rose up to the top, Yonna and I compensated the home inspector to spend an hour with us and wander the house with us. And not that there was any formal list ever made or whatever, but it helped formulate our client's opinion on the house and our client's decision to move forward with it and our client's decision not to include a home inspection. So it wasn't a formal home inspection, as in the addendum that's attached to the contract. And I would not recommend this to, unless you really are a sophisticated buyer. In this particular case, it was a sophisticated buyer. This wasn't their first home. It was their third home that we helped them buy. And we brought in a home inspector, went through it as we were looking through the house, and we've kind of come up with the conclusion that everything looked pretty good, and we moved forward without doing it. We won the offer, frankly, because of that, in that particular case.
Well, and a positive of working alongside the Yes Team Realtors is one of the many positives. Well, not everybody has what I'm about to say.
Oh.
What was your previous life?
Yeah, but I have
previous work profession.
Yeah, so I still have it. I still have
Class A.
But I can't use that in this environment. I cannot be that person.
No, but you can do an
it's hard not to do that.
Right?
It's wired in my DNA. But that's why I brought in a home inspector to walk beside us.
He still has his Class A contractor's license.
I still do.
And you go through some serious rigmarole to get that, do you?
I would, yeah.
Can you put it in perspective?
No.
I mean, it's serious, right?
Yeah. But I will.
And it should be.
Yeah, it should be. And I will never let that license give up.
Right. Smart man.
Same as my real estate license. I would never
Smart
let that go. But anyway, I know you're coming up on.
We're actually so prepped for this debate.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's your time, man.
I mean, I'm as ready as anybody could possibly be for it.
Well, it's just a thought.
No.
It's just a tool out there. We as professionals adapt and overcome, right? So, we're trying to figure out a way to help our client get in there. The go back to Jennifer's, if somebody's putting down $50,000 on a $200,000 house, is really not much you can do about that. That's at the end of the day, it's a cash deal. But if you're competing against other like offers, this may be a tool that may be applicable to you. So ask your trusted advisor, ask whoever is helping you through this process, is this idea viable for me? It may not be.
Greg Molecki, Mr. Smith.
Oh, good. Good Lord.
Greg Molecki says
Keith.
Mr. Smith is his father.
Thank you.
What's your, it's Pop.
Pop.
Pop's your father.
Well, Pop. Yeah, that's complicated.
Doesn't everyone call him Pop?
Everybody calls him Pop, but now my grandkids call me Pop.
Oh.
So it's Pop and Pop.
It's Pop and Pop.
Pop and Pop.
Greg Molecki, Keith.
Thank you.
Is there a pocket in Charlottesville that we can still find that is affordable for purchase?
The question is what is affordable to you? That's the question. Is affordable $200,000 is affordable $400,000, right?
You're not going to find a $200K.
You're not going to find it for $200K.
Yeah. You may not even find for $300K. You could probably find a condo or a townhome in the 300 window, but a quality single-family detached where you're not going to have to rehab quite a bit at 300 is going to be difficult to find.
Yeah, so it's a struggle, and we get into this, and that's what we were talking about on Friday, about these invisible walls, these invisible zoning walls, where this missing middle is not, basically not being propagated within the city or within the 5% growth there of Albemarle County, where they can start turning, single-family detached lots into duplexes or triplexes or something like that, which would then drive the costs down, which then creates more inventory, which then makes it quote-unquote affordable. But the reality of it is, this is the term I hate the most, but it's unfortunately true. You almost have to drive to qualify it these days. So depending on the price point that you're looking at, it more than likely, making an assumption of where I think this gentleman is at, Probably not at this point.
Right. Probably not.
And that's a sad thing.
But Nelson,
Nelson
the
is
lake,
the lake. Yeah, but part of
Waynesboro.
yeah, part of why I volunteer so much of my time into trying to fix that problem. We've had this conversation all the time.
It's because you care.
Well, that too, but I'm blessed with certain abilities to do that, and the time to do that. But the reality of it is, we've been fighting this fight since '87. You've been here for 20 years fighting
Since
this fight.
2000. Yeah.
Mr. Guthrie's been here, well, his whole, since college, the '70s, and it probably wasn't any better then. On that end of it, it's just trying to bring everybody together to solve this. It's just very difficult.
This is a good question. Are you ready for this one?
I am.
Keith, can you explain to me why rents are going up and why the cost of townhomes and individual homes, I think he means single-family detached
Yeah.
by individual homes, are going up, but the cost of condos are not?
Wow, that's a great question. Don't know if I can answer that too intelligently. Maybe somebody else on the feed can. Michael Guthrie.
What do you think, Michael Guthrie? Ray Cadell?
Or Ray Cadell.
Mustache Dan Pettit?
Can answer that better than I can. I think the issue probably is that there aren't buyers for them, right? I mean, I'm just going to a strictly.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that there's other reasons to it. Some of it is a lending
there's
side of things because
fewer lending vehicles for condos.
Correct, yeah, because condos, they're warrantable, right? So that means if a condo has more than 51% ownership that are rentals that are business owned, right? That it becomes non-warrantable. So there's very few warrantable condos in our area.
Actually, is a really good question.
It's a great question. I think also a lot to it is some of the condo fees are pretty high here.
And the condo fees in a lot of ways are like a micro mortgage.
Depending on where you're at, correct? They're in the hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. So, and I think it begs to ask the question, did COVID impact that?
Ooh.
And I think it did, personally.
Definitely.
I think it did. I think COVID impacted that hugely, that this migration that started quite some time ago, but really exploded during COVID is out to, I need a little bit of room, right? I don't want to be, on top of my neighbor kind of thing. So I think all those things playing into it probably impacts it. I have not done a real deep dive into the condo market.
He responds by saying, this doesn't seem to be a strong condo market.
Well, I think historically it's never really been a strong condo market. But
here?
I think in Charlottesville,
Yeah.
it historically has not been. Again, there's folks on this feed that are way smarter than me, particularly in this subject matter, that can talk intelligently about it. But it's always been a little goofy because of this warrantable, non-warrantable component to it. But great question.
Dan says, how about a property management company on this show in the near future?
We're working on it. I've got a lead.
There are not a lot of them in this area.
There are not, right? There's more commercial folks than there are residential folks. There's a couple of smaller firms that we can reach out to.
Who's got the most market share from a residential property management? Would you say it's Real Property?
I really don't know the answer to that. I don't. It's
Doug Brooks owns that.
Yeah, it's just a segment of the market, that we don't delve into. We focus on buy and sell on that side of the market. We really are not into the rental market, but we can bring somebody on that, surely I can't talk intelligently about it, so we'll bring somebody who can.
I love when we say, put it out there and give us some comments and then tell us where to go. That's what we did today.
Well, today was like, we didn't
Q&A.
have too much on the agenda. I really wanted to make this plug for this fair housing proclamation to all the jurisdictions to sign off on it. As I'm watching my phone, a couple of the other jurisdictions are agreeing to it.
Ooh.
So that's good. Yeah, I think we need to. I think the local governments and all of us need to make draw a line in the sand and say no further than this. And I think this proclamation goes a long way to that. It's not solving the problem with a one-page document, but when local governments say this is important to us, it means something. So we'll see how it goes.
There you go. Keith Smith, Yes Team Realtors. Keith Smith, Yes Realty Partners, trusted advisors in the game, as honest and as deep in character as humanly possible. Keith and Yonna Smith. Judah Wickower is the director. Friday show.
Yeah, we're gonna pick up where we left off. We're gonna do a series of these zoning and invisible walls.
Roundtable
discussion. I've got one for sure committed. The second, I'm working on a couple of options. Friday was more of a practitioner's perspective.
It was awesome. That's one of my favorite shows ever.
I would tell you, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Hopefully, we'll have more fun, but we're trying to get out some good information about that. And then so every Friday this month, we're going to be tackling this topic, and then on Tuesdays, we're going to try to bring in some local business folks or do this. To me.
It's fun.
To be honest with you, the roundtables are super informative and are.
I think the roundtable we did was one of the best Real Talks we've ever done.
I would agree with that. And it's.
I mean, you're taking the show from this past Friday it's virally shared on LinkedIn right now.
Yeah, you were saying.
And it's being shared by architectural professors.
Yeah.
At architecture schools.
Glad I didn't say much.
No, seriously, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean. You had two heavy hitters.
We did, yeah, and dear friends also, and it took a little convincing to it takes a little convincing to get some person to sit here and have this conversation with you. But I have to tell you, a little therapy, Keith and Jerry therapy, those are fun and great. I just love this.
Oh yeah.
I just love when you and I just show up and just be you and I, and then when the feed comes in, you
never know where it's going to go.
Never know where it's going to go.
Right.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate you very much so, because you push me outside of my comfort zone every once in a while, and I thank you for that.
I try to.
Thank you.
I try to. Judah Wickower is the director. My name is Jerry Miller. He's Keith Smith of the Yes Team Realtors. And this is Real Talk presented by Yes Realty Partners, Tuesdays and Fridays at 10:15 a.m. on the I Love CVille Network.
So come back at 12:30?
Oh, yeah. 12:30 to 2:30.
This is going to be a rock and roll kind of show, right?
It'll be the most watched debate in Charlottesville, Virginia history, and it's not even going to be close. Kathy Galvin's our moderator.
You got how many people?
Carl Brown, Brian Pigston, Juan Diego Wade, and Yaz Washington. An invitation was extended to Mayor Nakia Walker. She is not coming, but we have 4 candidates here, and Kathy Galvin's going to be asking real questions.
That was a stroke of genius.
I'm looking at these questions right now, and
yeah,
dude, these are like questions where these are the real deal.
You got enough for 2 hours?
Oh yeah, undoubtedly.
We
got this chopped up to the 5. She's an architect.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We got this chopped down to 5-minute increments. She has it literally chopped up to 5-minute increments. The debate.
I've had the pleasure to serve with her on planning district. I can see it. Yeah. On the planning, you got
one of
yellow.
The most organized people. I mean, Judah.
I don't know. Some of my stuff is pretty organized.
You're very organized, but I mean, she has this scripted to 5-minute segments.
I've had the pleasure to sit with her on the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission. Also had the pleasure of being on a couple investigative committees with her over there and hiring committees with her over there. You did good. She is really going to. And you know how that originated? She was in that chair and we were spitballing. Oh yeah,
we were spitballing like this. I'm like, why don't we do a debate? You host it, and she's like, okay.
Pretty hard to say no.
I have tremendous respect for Kathy Galvin.
Yeah, she's going to do well. She's going to do well. So I'm going to shut up because you got to get ready.
Man, we're ready.
I know that, but
I feel so prepared.
Yeah, but you need to take a breather and relax. Otherwise, I'll talk for another hour.
Judah, hell of a job today. Keith Smith as well. Thank you guys for joining us on Real Talk 12:30, the most watched debate in Charlottesville, Virginia history. T-minus. What time is it here? 61 minutes, guys. Every news station, every news outlet in the studio in 61 minutes here in the Macklin building. You guys have a good morning. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Good luck today, man. Not that you need it, but good luck.